Good evening, everyone. Just to let you know what's going on here, we have a marvelous coincidence that here at Upaya, we are without power. And also where Sensei Amie is, there is no power. So we're both on our phones making it work in a way, but we'll still have a Dharma talk. We just won't have any visual. And in the zendo, which is wonderfully in the dark, only by candlelight, following along on another iPhone that's in the zendo. So, Ami, are you there? Can you hear me okay?
I'm here. I can hear you perfectly. So far, so good.
Wonderful. Thank you. And if the power fully goes out and we lose Ami, then we'll just have to call it a night. But for now, here we are. And I'd love to just say a few words about Sensei Amie. Let's see. So when Sensei Amie Diller, or Chiko Genryu, which means I love her Dharma name, Genryu is primordial dragon, or how did you call it? Mysterious dragon?
Yes, it's wisdom light, mysterious dragon, or dark or hidden dragon.
Wonderful. Well, when you first stumbled upon Tassajara Zen Mountain Center in 1979, Sensei Amie dropped out of college and embarked on the lifelong study and practice of Buddha Dharma. She trained at all three of San Francisco Zen Center's residential practice centers and completed her undergraduate degree in Buddhist studies at UC Berkeley before receiving priest ordination from Maureen Stewart Roshi in 1987. In 2019, Amie received Dharma transmission from Sensei Sokaku Kathy Fisher. She also practices and teaches in the Indo-Tibetan Buddhism tradition. Amie has a deep interest in recognizing the often unacknowledged, marginalized parts of ourselves and our culture, and learning how to skillfully invite them into our practice. As a certified nurse midwife, mother, hospital chaplain, prison volunteer, and cultivating emotional balance teacher, she enjoys encouraging students in meditation retreats and in taking their meditation off the cushion into the world. And we are very, very excited that Sensei Amie will be joining Upaya at the end of next month as our resident teacher and be fully in the fold with us, practicing and teaching the way. So thank you so much, Sensei Amie. The floor is yours. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. We have to chant the verse before the Dharma talk.
Great.
Except we don't have the zendo, so I'm going to have to wing it from over here. Here we go. Let me turn on the original sound. The Dharma is vast and subtle. We now have a chance to hear it, study it, and practice it. We vow to realize its true meaning. The Dharma is vast and subtle. We now have a chance to hear it, study it, and practice it. We vow to realize its true meaning. The Dharma is vast and subtle. We now have a chance to hear it, study it, and practice it. We vow to realize its true meaning.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to be practicing with you here this evening together in the dark by candlelight, joined warm heart to warm heart, and with the Sangha far and wide. And thank you to Roshi Jones so much for inviting me. And all of you practicing together at Upaya, I look forward to joining you there soon. It's truly a wonderful thing to have Sangha to practice with. Dharma brothers and sisters to encourage us both in person and leaping across time and space to join in virtually. So, as Kodo mentioned, I'm joining you from the Central Valley of California, this area that was and still is the tribal land of the Nissenan Indians and the Miwok peoples, and the home to a surrounding area of many other native local tribes who thrived in this vast river basin. So for the last decades, I've mainly been teaching in the Galupa tradition and practice both with Valley Stream Zen Center here and Everyday Zen. So yes, I'm sitting here as the light dims in the dark, wrapped up in layers, power out, winds blowing with an unusually strong 55 to 60 mile an hour gusts. And from my upstairs window in the dimming light, I can see 2 or even 3 of our neighborhood's magnificent big mature pine trees have toppled over. Luckily, all into the park area, so no one has been harmed. So here we are together in this world as it is right now, with all of its joys and its drama and its sorrows. And post-holiday feasts and busyness and our often complicated family gatherings, whoever you consider your family to be. And during these last weeks, the word joy has popped up in song and on so many Christmas cards. I began to contemplate that word joy. At our holiday gathering with my family, I watched the children running around gleefully shrieking with joy and laughter and thought, how do we really embrace the energy of this joy as a Dharma gate? You know, the practice and teachings of Buddhism have had a pretty strong reputation for being more somber than joyful, with so much emphasis on the Four Noble Truths, right? The truth of suffering, causes of truth of suffering, the truth of the end of suffering, and the way out of suffering. Sometimes there's not much airtime for happiness and joy. And I've encountered people and even practitioners who really think that expressing those qualities of happiness and joy might even be un-Buddhist. Yet the heart, the root of Buddha's radical offering to us was what? The path to more suffering? No, it was the path out of suffering and into what he called sukha in Sanskrit, which is often translated as sweetness or joy. That in this human life, just as we are right now, there's always an availability of innate joy. Sometimes we call this genuine happiness, and experiencing this, no matter what we call it, is our birthright. I really believe that joy arises naturally when unimpeded. So as I was preparing for this, I was starting to read some of the emotion researchers' studies. And it turns out that joy is often considered a state of being rather than an emotion. It can arise in tandem with other emotions, such as joy and happiness, joy and love, joy and exhilaration, joy and excitement, and joy and awe. And also, joy can arise, surprisingly, with sorrow and grief and pain. And joy exists mainly as a present moment arising. And I found that very interesting. It means that there's always joy available in the midst of big upheavals, that an innate joy that arises from a wellspring within us rather than from outer circumstances is there, ready to be connected with, ready to be used as a source to fuel our hearts. And it becomes more available when we fully inhabit this present moment, no surprise. Sometimes I like to think of joy along with laughter and play, as unexpected responses to this fierce, awkward, and beautiful life we inhabit and that inhabits us. So I've been wanting to explore, how does joy arise? Where do we encounter it? Or perhaps even more accurately, where does it encounter us? So let's explore joy together tonight, some of us sitting in the dark. I'm imagining you all as I talk, and I can't see your beautiful faces, but I can imagine into the darkness of the zendo with all of you glowing in that warm candlelight. So let me stop here briefly. Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling joy? And what's the difference to you between happiness and joy? And if you scan through your last week, were there moments of joy? Not judging, simply scanning. And if so, how does it feel to remember them now? So hold on to this and we'll circle back. Suzuki Roshi said, the purpose of practice is to accept ourselves. When we truly accept ourselves, we are already one with all existence. When spring comes, we can enjoy the spring flowers. When summer comes, we can enjoy the cool moonlight. When autumn comes, we enjoy the beauty of the foliage. In winter, we will enjoy snow. So all the seasons of our lives, can we accept and enjoy them? Take joy in them? Delight in life living itself through us, even when the body becomes old and cranky? And we might think, wait a minute, yes, I may struggle with my own personal terrible moods and grumpiness, feelings of overwhelm, achy body, okay. And I might be able to find joy personally as I work with them. But what about our collective loss and despair? What about fear for our families and our communal anxiety about the world as we face ecocide and food insecurity and war and ever increasing legions of unhoused people? What of this world's heartbreak and vulnerability and loss? And this feels so close to my heart as I sit in this very unusual weather that we're having here, knowing this is happening across the globe. And how many beings, not just human beings, but how many living beings are touched by this? When I was younger, a dear Dharma friend told me a story. His father unexpectedly died. And at the funeral, my friend was sobbing loudly, uncontrollably, his whole body shaking with grief. He utterly gave into it, ignoring all the mourners' attempts to console him. And suddenly, mysteriously, out of nowhere, joy erupted, shaking his whole body. Something broke open, something dissolved, and he felt such an unexpected, crazy joy that suddenly he was laughing just as uncontrollably as he'd been crying. So nothing excluded. This is joy. Our practice isn't a self-help project, but a self-inclusion, opening and softening and awakening to ourselves just as we are project. We are messy, imperfect human beings. And yet, when something takes us beneath the surface of this, whether it's a grief or a happiness, we often find a wellspring of joy. It's maybe the same wellspring that gives rise to sorrow. Perhaps our life and our practice is asking us simply to get out of our own way and let this full, crazy, painful, wild world flow and live through us. Perhaps we can say it is joy opening us rather than we who are opening to joy. So joy is a quality of love for life, which arises when we open to life as it is. When our hearts rise and sing with the beauty of the sunrise, and also with the tender raw place, when our hearts are touched by this unbearable suffering, and we sit in the middle of it and bear witness. My dear teacher, Maureen Stewart Roshi, would often tell this story. A woman Zen teacher was heard wailing after the death of a beloved grandchild. Villagers looked at each other in confusion. Finally, one woman had the courage to approach her teacher. You are a great Zen teacher. You teach impermanence. What are you doing weeping and wailing? Yes, she replied, I am a Zen teacher, and I am also a grandmother. And Maureen would follow this often with saying, yes, 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 whatever it is. If pain in the knees comes, let it come. If happiness comes, let it come. Neither approving nor rejecting, whatever it is. This is Zazen. This is our practice. This is love. This is being awake. This is joy. A neuroscientist was recently asked if joy is a biologically based emotion. And he said, yes, it is. When the mind is at rest, joy arises. How does that sound? Familiar? Doesn't this bring us back to our Zazen practice? To our breath? It reminds me of Dogen's famous instructions on Zazen, Fukanso Zengi. Dogen says, the Zazen I speak of is not learning meditation. It is simply the Dharma gate of ease and joy, the practice realization of totally culminated enlightenment. Dogen says, Zazen is not learning meditation. Does this mean we don't need to learn or to practice Zazen? In fact, we do sit Zazen. We do learn meditation. And yet, on the deepest, truest level, there is nothing to learn. Dogen, like Buddha, is reminding us that we already are our true Buddha nature. We already are Buddha. Preparing food together, sitting together, cleaning the zendo together, striking the bell, we might not always notice that we are Buddha because our minds are confused by the kleshas. And klesha is a Sanskrit word which means literally, quote, things that disturb the mind, unquote. The main kleshas are called the three poisons, and probably most of you are familiar with them. Attachment, hatred, and ignorance. And they really are poisonous to our minds, to our relationships, and actually to our whole world, because they are the root causes of war, of social injustice, of ecocide. Basically, the root of all the harm and hurt in the world that we witness. And the rest of the kleshas, the very long list of them, flow from these three. So Dogen reminds us that Zazen is not about learning meditation. We simply sit, trusting that beneath the turbulence of our mind, our true nature is Buddha. That is reality. And we simply having confidence in that reality, believing in that. Again, Suzuki Roshi said, everything is Buddha's activity. So whatever you do, or even if you keep from doing something, Buddha is in that activity. Because people have no such understanding of Buddha, they think what they are doing is the most important thing without knowing who it is that is actually doing it. People think they are doing various things, but actually Buddha is doing everything. In Zazen, we are already Buddha, simply being Buddha, sitting awake to our whole body, our whole breath, our wholehearted presence, suffused with our heart's intention to love and benefit the world. I lived at Green Gulch Farms for quite a while when my daughter was young. And in her early years, someone would watch the three very little children in the mornings while the parents did work practice. And one day we returned for lunch to the childcare trailer and opened the door. And there my friend's son was sitting on the couch, cross-legged, and his eyes closed, and a big smile on his face. And she asked him, Josh, what are you doing? And he immediately said, I'm enjoying my body. So I love that. Are you enjoying your body? So I'd like to actually share a few practices for nourishing or cultivating joy. Back when I asked you to scan for joy, how did it feel to bring that to mind? Because the basis of cultivating joy is first to notice our experiences of joy. Often we're so busy rushing from one thing to another, ants creep in. Do you know about ants? The acronym is for automatic negative thoughts. Kind of like, yes, that's a gorgeous sunset, but let's get right back to the important stuff. All the stuff that went wrong today. And then the mind is off and running, and we've missed the moment. It's also called the negativity bias, meaning that even when difficult events and positive events happen with the same frequency, we feel and register negative events more intensely, and we give them more of our attention. So we actually have to put some effort in to even out the playing field. We have to stop and notice the good, the positive in our lives. The blue sky, the gorgeous green tree, the feeling of connection while sharing a cup of tea with a friend. This stopping, this noticing is the first step in the practice. That we notice our positive experience of joy and thus have a positive experience of joy. And it's funny because you'd think that there would be a natural attraction to any joy that comes along, but again, because of negativity bias, we can miss it very easily. Doesn't even show up on our radar. The next step is that once we've stopped and noticed it, we enhance it. We boost this positive joy experience simply by giving it the gift of our full attention. We dwell on it, we delight in it, we revel in it, we feel the pleasure of it, engaging all of our senses. I like to practice this walking along the river that runs by my house. I'll take the dogs out in the early morning, and it's a lovely place to walk. Otters playing. We surprise the great blue heron fishing on the banks. And there are a couple times a year where the seals come up, believe it or not, from the Pacific Ocean to fish here. So I'll try to catch as my wandering mind wanders to something negative, and I'll think, interrupt it. Look at this gorgeous sycamore shading us with a shiny silver bark and green leaves dancing in the wind. The feel of the breeze caressing my cheek as I stand there. The cry of the hawk overhead. Really reveling in that moment. All senses awake, noticing the uplifted sensations arising. All of these are a way of enhancing our joy. And this is going to sound really super hokey, but if you can put that aside and try it, I found this to be surprisingly impactful and effective. So basically what I do is I sit here and I go, or stand there and I think, and say to myself, I am standing here on this beautiful summer day or fall day or winter day, and I am loving this tree, and I'm feeling this breeze, and I am alive, and this is a moment of joy. So those are ways that we can enhance it to boost the experience, supercharge them. And then finally, the last step is to simply be with it. Enjoy and linger there. Be there. I mean, I'm thinking like a pig rolling in the mud, and soak it up. Soak it into every cell in your body, all the way down to your marrow. And holding this, lingering for at least 20 seconds. I'd heard this 20-second rule many times, and then I discovered that neuroscientists say that we need to linger on these positive emotional experiences for at least 20 seconds to wire it in, right? Neurons that fire together, wire together, and all of that. So I'm going to suggest that for a moment, we try this as a practice. Remember when I asked you to scan for an experience, and then we return to it? You can bring that experience of joy to mind, or it could be a different one. But bring one to mind. And then enhance it by bringing in all of your senses, remembering how it felt physically, maybe a warmth spreading through your body, maybe the sweet caress of a warm breeze on your skin. Play with the other senses. Maybe there's a fragrance, a sound associated with it, a smell, even a taste. Enjoy and linger there, soaking it in. Another practice that we can do is rejoicing practice. As I mentioned, I practice and teach in the Tibetan Gelugpa lineage as well. And there's a wonderful story about Ken Rinpoche, one of the first Tibetan teachers that His Holiness Dalai Lama sent to the West. And he ended up in New Jersey. And one day he was given a tour of a Catholic church for the first time. And the priest giving the tour took him over and explained, this wooden box is where our parishioners come to confess when they've done something wrong. And Ken Rinpoche said, oh, very good, very good. In Buddhism, we have confession too. Then Ken Rinpoche was obviously looking around, very puzzled, around the big interior of the church. And the priest finally asked him, is there something you're looking for? And Ken Rinpoche said, yes, I'm looking for the other box. What other box? Asked the priest. The other box, you know. The one where they tell you all the good things they've done, the rejoicinal. So Ken Rinpoche was referring to the rejoicing practice. This practice is simple and sweet. Choose a time in your day, perhaps sitting alone with your tea or coffee in the morning, and reminisce over the previous 24 hours. Very relaxed, very relaxed. Bring to mind something sweet or kind or generous you thought or did or said during the day. Maybe a way that you helped the world. Even by giving a scrap of food to an animal, cooking for the shelters, or even by, maybe some of us some days have a chance to save lives by doing what my husband did a couple of years ago, jumping in front of a rolling car and stopping it before it hit a busy street. Not something I recommend trying. But rather than going over, as we so often do, our habitually bad qualities, we look at our good qualities, what you're offering to the world. Take joy in it. Feel good about it. And again, soak it in. And really, this is such a sweet, relaxed practice that you can weave into your everyday life. So, some of you have noticed probably an obvious omission and are wondering, when is she going to mention sympathetic joy? Sympathetic or empathetic joy is one of the Brahma Viharas, the four immeasurables. And since I can't actually see you, I can't ask you how many are familiar with them. But given that they crop up these days in mainstream media, I'm guessing most of you are. So the first to mention them is loving kindness, wishing living beings to have all happiness. And the second is compassion, wishing all living beings to be free from suffering. The third is sympathetic or empathetic joy, which is to rejoice in the wholesome, virtuous qualities and actions of living beings. And the last is equanimity, or also known as equality, that all of us living beings care equally about those other living beings, whether they are close to our hearts and all the way on up to the troublemakers in our life. So empathetic joy, I was thinking as I was contemplating this, is actually an extended version of the rejoicing practice. As you start by rejoicing on your own positive qualities and good fortune, and that includes even if it's simply luck, or appears to you as simply luck. And then you extend this to someone who was, say, won the lottery or found their perfect partner or just been given the job promotion that you were hoping for. And then you actually rejoice for them and with them, delight in their good fortune. So you start with people like most of the, or I should say all of the Brahma-vihara practices, you start with someone who is near and dear to you and easy to wish them well. And then again, you work all the way up to the big gun troublemaker in your world, which can, of course, include political figures whom you dislike. Because really, if they understood and knew their own good qualities, would they be causing harm? Probably not. So I was going to lead this, but I think I'm out of time. I've kind of lost track. So Kodo, no, break in if you need to and stop me.
You can take another 10 minutes if you want.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So which way do we go here? Let's do a brief practice just to touch in and really, be able to get a taste of this. Just simply find a relaxed, comfortable posture, which you're probably already sitting in, and bring someone to mind, preferably someone that you really care about, that's very close to your heart, that it's easy to wish them well. And then you say, may so-and-so, the person, take joy in their good qualities and their good fortune. And then if you can, know them well enough, you think of a specific good fortune. You may say, may your person take joy in this good fortune, and you name it. And then you say inwardly, may this good fortune grow for them. And may it lead to liberation. And so that you can do for yourself. I mean, it's very helpful to sometimes put a hand on your heart if you're doing this alone at home, to really feel your way into your heart's wish for this. And feel that warmth flowing out to them as you wish that they rejoice in their good fortune. Now, the same practice can also be used to torpedo our own jealousy and envy. So instead of saying, may they appreciate their good fortune or their good qualities, if there's someone in your life who did get something that you feel envious of, jealous of, resentful of, you can actually say, may I appreciate my friends, my family members, good fortune of this promotion. May I take joy in their good fortune. And may their good fortune grow. And may their good fortune lead all the way to liberation, to freedom from suffering. So as I mentioned, this really helps our empathetic joy, our hearts expand and shift away from almost a natural, well, that negativity bias of having jealousy, envy, resentment come up when somebody gets something, especially if we think we should have had it. And it works all the way up to stopping that little thrill that gets us, keeps us often hooked on the news. You know, it's like rubbernecking as we pass a car accident. So instead of saying, ooh, what just happened? Like, is there any blood? What happened there? It's like really kind of odd thing that can arise in our human heart mind. I now immediately shift into this compassionate, caring heart practice of sympathetic joy, which is kind of a funny thing to say, but it's like may they be well. Maybe I can't really call it sympathetic joy, but it's a compliment here where I really truly hope that no one is harmed, and I'm immediately going to do Enmei Jiko Kanengyo for them all right now. And that just feels much more in alignment with our Bodhisattva hearts and helps us to grow that compassionate love. And so those are the things that practicing empathetic joy actually helps us release. Then there's another way to enter into rejoicing practice, and that's the gratitude practice, which asks us to stop and notice what is going right, all the little things in our life. And then in this uplifted, spacious, warm-hearted openness, joy begins to arise. So joy becomes like breathing in, letting ourselves be touched by the beauty and goodness in others, in ourselves, and in the world around. And gratitude is like breathing out, sensing our mutual belonging and offering our thankful, attentive hearts to the world. And it's an upward spiral, each nourishing the other. And at first, these practices can feel artificial, and that's okay. At one point, so did driving a car. And you had to practice quite a while before it felt natural. When you engage in these practices of joy consistently enough, they'll also become that natural, taking up residence in your heart mind. And they'll become like a habit that likes you and stay. I think joy is actually a radical act in the midst of these very challenging times. In fact, I read an intriguing study comparing the impact of joy versus empathy on altruism. And interestingly, those who rated higher on the joy scale were even more altruistic than those who rated high on the empathy scale. And joy increases our sense of belonging and connection and caring because we are connection. We're not trying to create connection. We're always connected, always one body. And we need this joy so we can buoy each other up and more effectively engaged in this troubled world, each in our own way. Often I think of the Japanese art of wabi-sabi, the beauty of imperfection. Japanese artists, as you probably all know, make creative use of imperfection, seeing the beauty in that which has been broken or is not perfectly symmetrical. Joy is like this. It creates beauty in this dewdrop world. This is a joy which is big enough to embrace a boundless cosmos. This is a joy which doesn't exclude anything, which includes everything. It has nothing to do with our usual thinking of, is it good? Is it bad? Do I like it? Do I not like it? It goes far beyond that. It's the practice of being fearlessly who we are, precisely the person we naturally are. Original wholeness. And we begin to notice that life is living itself through and around our imperfect selves beautifully in every moment. Then the magical gifts of ordinary, everyday birth, life, death reveal themselves as sacred. And joy arises right in the midst of sorrow, just as a proverbial lotus rises from the mud. So thank you on embarking on this exploration of joy in the darkness, and may you all be well.
Amie, thank you so much for that beautiful talk. Wow, I think we're all going to be very excited to have you come and be with us in our midst, and for us to sit in this next month with the Book of Serenity, which, in a way, given the definition of joy you gave, we could almost call it the Book of Joy. So that feeling I hope we can carry with us, and to really appreciate our lives and take joy in just being. And I love the 20 seconds practice, just soaking it in, relishing it. So thank you so much for that talk.
My pleasure. And may I tell you, the lights just came on.
Oh, just now?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
How wonderful.
Yeah, cool. Well, we're still in the dark here, but it's beautiful in the zendo. I just peeked in, and the candles, I'll send you a picture. The candles are lighting up the altar. So thank you so much again. We will end with the 4 vows. Now I'm on my phone because we lost the internet on the computers. So I don't know if this is going to work with the bell, but we can try it. So forgive if the audio isn't great, but here it goes. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow
To perceive it, the awakened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Sensei Amie, again, thank you so much for your talk and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.